Hello, everyone. I am Casey from Books Before Death. I am one half of the channel. Bree is the other half, and I am in a crab costume.
Hey, I'm Max. My channel is Max Reads. I do single book reviews, and I'm part of the Cosmic Crab Along, which is how we got onto this win in the first place.
Yeah, if you're not part of the crab along, join the Discord and learn about weird crab books.
There's more. There's gonna be more.
There's gonna be more.
So today we're going to talk about Night of the Crabs by Guy N. Smith, which is not. You would be forgiven in thinking this was a standalone, but this is the first of like 8, 9.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot of books in this series, and I'm here for it.
I'm also here for it. I'm so excited.
What did you rate it first, right?
I rated it 4 stars.
Same. I went into it expecting it to be like a 1-star, 2-star read. I didn't expect it to be like comedy gold.
It was so good. I expected to give it like a 2 or 3 stars. Like I expected it to be really funny, but I didn't expect it to actually be as funny as it was.
I feel like this is going to be spoilers because I don't think this is the book that people are going to care about getting spoiled for.
I mean, do we want to go over the like vague synopsis on the back first? Because it's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. You can read the blurb for us.
Okay. The Welsh coast basks in summer tranquility, and then the drownings begin. But not until the monstrous crustaceans crawl ashore, their pincers poised for destruction, does the world understand the threat it faces. A seafood cocktail for the strongest stomachs.
And this is like, it like harkens back to when books cost 60p.
I have a new reprinted copy from 2017.
What? They were still printing this in 2017? What? No way. I thought this was like one and done. I didn't realize that this had a renaissance.
Yeah, I think they did like a reprinting for an anniversary or something. I don't know, but I got this and the copyright page is 2017, so.
Okay, so yeah, vague synopsis, I guess. The main character is a biologist, a marine biologist, and his son dies. Okay, so this book opens like all good monster books. Like the very first chapter is just somebody getting killed instantly. It's like everything. This was Jaws. I went into this, I was like, oh, this is like a Jaws vibe, right?
It's exactly like a Jaws drive.
The main guy is the guy that dies right at the start's uncle, and he goes down to the beach to sort of figure out what's going on and why his nephew disappeared when he went swimming, I guess. And then he finds these like tracks in the sand, and he's like, no, surely not.
Yeah, he immediately jumped to giant crabs. Like there's no other option in his brain.
He doesn't immediately jump to giant crabs. He sees scuttle marks across the sand, and he's like, maybe it's an aeroplane?
Oh yeah, there's that moment.
So he breaks in. Does he break into the military base?
No, he's just like outside in the grass with binoculars.
Okay, so he's like perving on the planes from the military base. And then he gets interrogated. And they're like, why are you watching the planes? And he's like, I thought they were scuttling across the sand, I guess. And then he sees crabs kill someone. Okay, so for me, there was like 17 pages missing in the book.
Yeah.
And it jumped straight from being interrogated by the military police to having sex with some random person on the beach. There was nothing in between that because my copy was a misprint.
Okay, well mine was not, so I can fill you in on this. I haven't
fill us in.
filled Max in yet. He gets out of that interrogation by just saying one name, and the guy like calls this person and is like, yes, your description matches. Okay, I'll let him go. And then he's free to go.
Oh, that's how it works, right?
That's how it works.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously. And then when he finally gets back to the bed and breakfast for dinner, there's like no places left to sit. So Mrs. Jones, who's like in charge of this bed and breakfast he's staying at, puts him at a table with a woman named Pat, who is, I think, like 25. She's much younger than him. Hold on, I'm trying to remember what happens. They sit down and they're like having dinner, and she mentions seeing like a weird thing in the sand, and he's like, I saw a weird thing in the sand.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And then he's like, I think I'm gonna go and like stake out and look for the crabs later. Because they both think it's crabs at this point. They're both convinced.
How does she jump to crabs?
It was something about how like she used to spend a lot of time on the beach as a kid, and she recalled the scuttle marks of a crab. And I was like, I also spent a lot of time on the beach as a kid. You don't see crabs. They just pinch you randomly. Like
I literally have a marine biology degree, and I wouldn't know what crab tracks look like.
So yeah, they like go out to like watch, and they're like, okay, we're gonna watch the crabs happen, and then like it's quiet, and then they have sex. Like there's no like.
It's because giant crab hunts are so romantic.
I mean, they have a more romantic moment later, but we'll get to that. What happens next? Oh yeah, they watch they watch like this like beachcomber guy,
Called Bartholomew, right?
Bartholomew, get eaten, and he's deaf and mute. And so he doesn't scream, which is probably the creepiest thing about that scene, is that like he doesn't hear the crabs coming and he doesn't scream, and then gets all of his limbs pinctured off.
Yeah, like they don't even kill him. They're like one by one, like snip, 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 snip.
And then the king crab is like throwing the limbs into the crab crowd.
It's not like all these crabs go for this guy. It's like the king crab disassembles him and he's like, one for you and one for you.
There was something in there about how like only the best for the crab king, like that's why
Oh,
he got
yeah.
like the main piece of the human.
I think you sent it to me on Discord.
Yeah. I was messaging Max a lot because you read this first and then I read it. Oh, we also didn't talk about really the sex scene, but it was the worst sex scene I've ever read. And the sentence, his loins were fully charged with emotions, were used in it. That got me.
There's a lot of loins in these books.
There's a lot of loins happening. Human loins, not crab loins.
That would be too sexy.
Too sexy.
It's obviously such a prize was royal property.
It's just so good. There's so much good. Like also the moment where like the king crab comes out, they actually refer to him as that like throughout the book. They call him King Crab.
There's a bit where he explains to a guy, there's a villainous crab that leads them. I've named him King Crab.
But my favorite thing is when he first sees the crab. He's like, this one was the very personification of evil.
All crabs look the same.
It's like something about its face. It was the very personification of evil. And you're like, okay, dude, except for this one who's scared.
Yeah, he's so shook.
It's a scary world out there for a giant crab.
Okay, so what happened after that?
He like puts a call into like some defense person in London, and he's like, all right, I'll send a guy out. And the guy gets there and is like, no, this is not happening. But that night is when the crabs attack the military base.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Which is the sentence I just said.
So these crabs attack the military base. They're immune to machine guns.
They just walk straight in, and there's like, you get the point of view. Obviously, you always get the point of view of the person that's going to be murdered next, pretty much, in all of these scenes. So you get the point of view of the guard who's just like looking at the stars and smoking a cigarette, and then all of a sudden it says like clickety clack on the page, and you're like, oh no. And I think like 5 guards die, and then like the crabs.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. I think my favorite line from that though was like 2 guards tried to escape by like scrambling up the fence. And the line was like legless. They fell back.
My favorite line from the whole book. There's this they see crabs on the railway in part of the book, and the guy says, "Fucking hell," he cursed. "It's one of those bastard crabs."
There's so many good lines.
It's rich with good lines. We've struck a vein here.
And there's also a lot of references to the full moon and the crabs. I don't know if you picked up on this, but there are a lot of references to how the crabs come out when the moon is full.
Did you think it was like were crabs?
No, but that's what I wanted it to be. I was like, I know that's not what they're saying, but now I want a book about were crabs.
You know you're gonna have to write that now, yeah.
I know.
I've just opened it to a random page, and the amount of times it says clickety click on this clickety click, click click clickety click, click click clickety click, click click clickety click.
They click a lot.
They do click a lot.
Waving their pincers in the air like they just don't care.
So what was your favorite bit? Oh, we didn't talk about the tank scene. You want?
Well, we also didn't talk about the train really. Like you mentioned the line, but they do derail an entire train.
They derail a train, yeah.
And send it into the ocean. And then the divers go later when the tide's low to like look at the train, and it's empty.
Yeah, because the crabs don't believe in waste. It's
One of my favorite lines.
environmentally friendly.
They're very environmentally friendly, these crabs. There's just some of the chapters end on really good sentences.
Oh, there are some good like shock sentences at the
Yeah,
end.
they were emerging from the edge of the tide like a host of behemoths rising up from the mighty deep. The giant crabs had arrived. That's like a very early one. I don't know. I think Legless, They Fell Back might be one of my favorite sentences I've ever read.
I feel like this is like B movies, if B movies were a book genre.
Yes.
This would be one of those straight to Sci-Fi Channel movies that is never shown in any theaters and has like a hardcore 10-person fan base.
Yes. Which I'm one of those people. I love like sci-fi channel movies. Oh, the way the book ends too, I think it's the last sentence. Let me double check. One of them goes, "We certainly don't want a second crab war." I was like, was that a war?
Oh, this is just the beginning. This was wave one.
I know. I'm really excited.
The fact that he weirdly refers to everybody by their full names.
Oh yeah, it happens a lot. It happens even in like the first chapter where like the couple's being killed off. The like guy in his head refers to his fiance by her full name. And I was like, what? Oh, the slang also, the British slang was
Oh, you probably picked up on so many more like Englishisms than I did.
it was very English. Like the first one I noticed, I think I sent you was the tide was well out, and I was like, wow, like I don't think I've ever read like that much English in a prose before. It was like infused with British. The term nosy Parker was used, which I had never heard before.
That's so weird to me that that's just like a throw around term.
Never heard it before. There were other weird ones. I think at one point he said he was like thinking about the military base, and he's like, "Yeah, people kept well clear of that." And I was like, "Okay, another little British thing slipped in." There were a lot of smaller things.
I just remembered something that struck me as really, really stupid. There was a bit where there was a fisherman that got pulled off his boat by the crabs. I was like, okay, I'm going along with this. And as the pincers close around him, he like starts thinking about a book he read about the French Revolution. And he's like mullet, like thinking, dreaming about like guillotines and stuff. And it's like that would not be your thought process in the 3 seconds before you were dying.
Also, his thought that fisherman's thought process about how like he's like, "I'm going to die, so I'm going to die in the ocean," was also really great.
He knew what he wanted.
He did. He was like, "My hand's missing. I'm bleeding out. I need to be in the water."
There's a bit well early on where it says about somebody disappearing into the jaws of a crab. And it's like that's not how a crab works.
No, I'm just imagining. So I'm just imagining like they're being thrown those limbs at that part, and they're all just sitting there like little bunnies, just like nibbling slowly.
like a cork.
Yeah, because they were like, so at the very beginning, I was like, are they just killing them or are they actually eating them? And they were eating them. But then I was like, how? They're fucking crabs. They persevered.
They did. I mean, good for them.
We're proud of them.
Do you think when the author wrote this, he knew he was going to write a series?
Yeah, because there's like, I mean, the ending sets it up so well for the crabs to come back.
Imagine that dedication, though, that like foreknowledge of the path you're taking in life. Like he sits down at his typewriter one day. He's like, I'm not just going to write one book about killer crabs. I'm going to write 9 books.
I will say there's an introduction in this from the writer.
Oh, okay. I haven't got that. You got to read that to us, or at
It
least
doesn't say when it was written, but it was written after several of the crab books had come out. And because I think it was like written with like for this edition or something.
Oh, okay.
There's a mention about how like they kept going into bookstores that summer, and there would be like all the crab books on the shelves for sale. It was just amazing. So I can hardly believe how the years have flown by. That very hot summer of 1976 was a landmark in my writing career. Not for the scorching weather throughout, but for the launch of Night of the Crabs. It was my 4th book shortly after I resigned from a career in banking to become a full-time author. In July, I was on holiday with my wife and 4 young children at the setting of this novel. One evening, we embarked upon a stroll around the town. Several of the shops were still open, and my eldest son, Gavin, disappeared into W.H. Smith's. Suddenly, he came rushing out, shouting, "Dad, they've got hundreds of your books in here." The following day, we encountered a market bookseller in a nearby village with a rack of crab books. He informed me that he had already restocked it twice that week.
One thing with this guy is I was on his Wikipedia page and I was looking at how varied his resume is. Books of adaptations of Disney movies, and then underneath that directly is like hardcore erotica.
It was like crabs Disney porn, and it was like, all right, that's a varied. You got to give it to him.
He's set for life now. Yeah.
Oh, one of the weird writing things I noticed, I mean, besides all of the weird writing things, is how many exclamation points were in this book. It was like everything had to be exclamation points. Everything. I think there was a one point where there were 4 sentences in a row that all ended with exclamation points, and I was like, "This is too much."
So what for you stopped it being a 5-star read?
I think just how like I think if it had been well, the mistreatment of my beloved Bartholomew was one of them. I just couldn't get with the ableism happening there. And then also just I just kind of really disliked our main character.
Yeah, he wasn't a likable person at all.
No, he was just kind of an asshole, and there was no reason for it. He was just an asshole. Oh, and in the very first thing, the guy, I was like, "Oh, I kind of don't want these 2 people to die," even though obviously they're going to die because that's how it works. But then he thought to his head, in his head, he called his fiance a stupid bitch, and I was like, "Oh no, you can die immediately." But otherwise, it was really good. We didn't even talk about the whole scene where he goes into the crab cave.
Oh yeah, he goes to the lair, goes to see the king.
He's like diving to try and find lair of the crabs so that they can bomb the crabs, obviously, because that's what you do when you find killer crabs.
They talk about like the nuclear option, and the sergeant's exact phrasing is nuclear bombs. That's just not on.
That's one of the British moments. Yeah, because they're diving, and then like he doesn't come up, and they send someone after him, and that person dies. And so they're like, obviously Cliff, our main character, also must be dead. So they just leave, and he comes up, and they're gone, and he's
Yeah,
like,
they just drive away. He's not even down for that long, I swear.
he's still got like 10 minutes of oxygen, and they're like, nah, he's dead, we're out of here. And the ending, the way that they actually like get the crabs to retreat was inspired, honestly. Yeah, it also had a very like the way he realized what they should do was very like I could hear the music playing and like the sharp gasp he let out as he realized it. Like it was so perfect.
It was also so convenient.
It's 150 pages.
I wanted this to be like a 600-page drawn out battle book. The only thing letting it down from being 5 stars, but was that there wasn't more of it.
Yeah, I wanted more of it. I wanted them to flesh out the world and the crab. We want a good crab world build. Like, how intelligent are the crabs? I really need to know.
We need this like quantified.
There's also the moment where like the guard is looking up into space, worrying about what's up there, and I was like, space crabs.
That's book 2. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Man. But yeah, he's looking at a newspaper where it says where are the giant crabs now, and the girl is looking at the headline that says child drinks weed killer and dies, and he's like, oh, we can hit the crabs with the weed killer and they'll die, and you're like, okay.
They really drag out the tension for that as well. There's a chapter that ends like with the line, I just hope that farm supplies truck gets here before it's too late.
And then you get like the point of view of the driver of the truck for like just a few paragraphs, I'm pretty sure. He's like stuck in traffic, and then he gets like escorted by police, and he doesn't know what's happening. He's like, oh, they must be really serious about like their weeds or something.
Imagine that being what you think your job is, and you come over the top of the hill and there's like 600 giant crabs.
Like, oh, I gotta go kill some weeds. Oh my god. I want this to be a movie just so we can have a trailer full of these lines.
I don't even care that there's a movie. Like, I just want a trailer for this.
Exactly.
And it's gonna have that like ridiculous voiceover. Coming summer of next year.
What you're saying is we're making a trailer for this book, right?
Oh my god. This is how we go viral. This is how we get famous.
I have this crab costume.
We're halfway then. We're halfway.
So the one thing that was like, this isn't going to work with the weed killer is that crabs do have that like hard outside shell. Is the weed killer even going to do anything?
Unless he's spraying it like right in their face.
So yeah, this was an amazing book.
So I would say maybe don't shell out loads of money for the actual book, but definitely get the ebook. If you find the ebook and it's on deal, then buy that. You won't regret it.
Yeah, I mean, the ebooks are even only like $5 each. Like, that's not that bad. Like, do it. It's
It's an
ride.
investment. It's an investment.
Yeah, it took me so long to read this just because I kept laughing and then sending you quotes and then laughing. And I recorded a reading blog that may or may not ever see the light of day.
I really want that.
I was like, this needs to happen. I had so many thoughts.
Yeah, yes, I guess that's it. Yeah.
How do you want to end it?
Join our crab Discord and talk about crabs. There's definitely more crab content on the way, I guess.
Yeah, there's more crab content on the way. We are going to read book 2 in the series. I feel like I can say that.
2021 has a theme.
And it's crabs.
And it's crabs. Bye.
Bye.